want to explain my process finding data from my numbing report to interaction. That's really what matters, right? Is driving results and improvement. So I want to do a little bit. This is what most reports look like. You've got papers. This is like, hey, here's everything you need to know, and I'm including for free, and I'm sure that you'll know what to or be able to do this. Who's got the time to do that, or the desire to do that? What we need is insights. Tell me what's supposed to know. Tell us change where we need to focus so that we take action on those things. So, technically, is a subpar way of trying to make revisions. Okay, and some people will be honest, like, well, I'll make more, make some charts and whatever is good. What examples of those? Executive dash. Okay, so let's look at this. Financials. So we've got some indicators. There's maybe things that are here. We've got this over here. Bar charts. Looks like we've got a bunch of things here. Story accounts. Pay is good. Are these bad? Do they really represent anything? No. Let's take. Okay, rate 11 to get requires this like looks like what decision should I make through this? How do I know to focus on what's improved, not good, is this bad? I'd be freaking out. There's no common signs, so we can see that these streams are all going up and down, but by how much it's hard to say as we get into these other color bands. So there's things like this that occur in a lot of charts, and just because a chart has been created doesn't mean that there's necessarily any insight behind it. Let's do one more. Here's one, like they've got some indicators, so I'm assuming like green is good, red is bad, but here's this trend, like what caused the spike, I don't know. Largely we've got a bunch of tables. So, so this is common. This happens a lot. And so to really get insight, we have to have a process of finding insights and then making those things jump off the page so that you can understand what's going on and what to do about it in 10 seconds or less. That's the standard that I hold myself to. Okay, so here is an example. I'll move my face. Here is an example of a dashboard that I built. Okay, so we've got some things where we add context, like, here's the current month in green, prior month is the line. Okay, but we've also then added written insights, which I think are really important. It's a mix of having both visual and written insights that help us understand what's up. So here, like, we've increased by 227 or 49% between the 2 months. So that's a good thing. Okay. And then we can see, okay, which month was our highest? So we're using color here to make that just stand out really quickly. Again, we're using color to show like where are the peak times. Okay, same thing here. We were also using insightful titles. Most visits to stations happen between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. That's dynamic. That's a formula that has been written based on the data. So if this were to change over time, this would show up and it would change accordingly. So we're using, again, like color, formatting, text, insightful titles to make things pop off the screen. And then we're using some other things like some images here, as well as images like this on our map to make things show up. Here we're kind of showing where the locations are of our sites, okay, on a map. And then again we're seeing written insights here. And we can also kind of see sort of, we're looking at some segmentation of our various wind turbines and our sites by date. So there's a lot here that we're doing to try to make insights really clear, like where do we need to focus? Again, we're using a colored font to make this insight stand out. The 172,000 visits, 5% led to a manual shutdown. So, okay, and this is how long it took. Was it multiple or single? So we've got kind of a breakdown there. And now what do we need to do about this? Okay, now the way we get to something like this is by following a process. Okay, here is my process on how to find insights and then make them stand out. So first I start with context. Who's the audience? What questions are they asking? If they had a crystal ball, what would they want to know? Or what would you, if you are the business owner, what would you want to know, right? If you had a crystal ball and you can know anything, okay, well, let's understand that, and then let's work backwards to the data and see if we can get there. Okay, what actions will you take as a result? Well, if I knew this, I would adjust our pricing policy, or we would focus on these accounts and try to sell more. Or, here's an opportunity for cost reductions in these areas of the business, right? Then we can see, okay, well, what are the impacts? Well, if we can improve that by 10%, that could have an impact of $1 million on our company. These kinds of things. Okay, how frequently are they going to be seen or used? Is there a target in mind? Well, hey, here's our benchmark from last year. Here's an industry benchmark. Here's, target. We need to get 10% reductions, 10% improvements, that kind of thing. So we start here with this process. Then we have the data. Okay, let's talk about the key metrics. What do these things represent? Where is it stored? What systems do we need to bring together? Does it need to be manually or automatically refreshed? Generally, you want it to be automatic. So we build the thing once, data flows in, you can look at this and see it, it's always updated. Preferably, and we'll talk about this here in just a second as we talk about the design, but preferably it's sending you email notifications so that it's just, it's in your email where we all live. All right, so then, how often is the data refreshed? This kind of thing. Okay, does it need to be static and printed, or is it more like an interactive and online version? That affects a little bit how we design. Okay, have I added the benchmarks? Have we included a why? So like you might say, here's the high level thing. Here's the trend. Here are the key drivers or why this is occurring. And then here's maybe what we need to do about it. That could be a what if type scenario or whatever. Okay. We've called out insights. We've got, the right mix of color, spacing, charts, images. Do we pass our 5-second test or 10-second test to find insights? Do we tell a story? So that is the approach that I follow. And you'll see when if we work together, I will send you something like this, or we will talk through something like this. Okay. This is like, again, what's the audience? What are the insights? What are the decisions? What are the specific objectives? The access, the data source, same kind of stuff, right? Here's an example, and then we go through and we'll fill this out together. That is going to ensure that both you and I arrive at the right end results. And that minimizes back and forth. There's less of it. There's still some, but there's less of it because we're going for the same clear picture, which reduces costs for you and ensures that you're getting something that's really insightful you can take action on that's going to move the needle in your company. Okay, so that's that. And I have done this with lots of huge clients as well as lots of small clients. And so would love to work with you. I'm happy to apply my process to finding insights with you. And also at the start of every project, we'll scope it so that you've got a sense of timeframes, costs, whatever. So it's not just like writing a blank check or walking into this blind. You've got a sense it's going to be this much, it's going to be this much time, and then we will hit that time frame, those budgets. So again, my name is Brian Noakes. Would love to work with you, and talk soon. Thanks.